Chelsea here, and today we're going to be doing a 60-minute restorative yoga practice. Restorative yoga differs from yin and deep stretch in a couple different ways. One being that in restorative yoga, the goal is to be 100% supportive and passive, meaning no active stretching like yin or deep stretch. And deep stretch focuses on stretching connective tissue, while restorative focuses more on the passive release of the mind-body tension. Both styles use props, but in deep stretch, we use props to deepen and soften the stretch. In restorative, props are used to support the body. And whereas yin poses are typically held for about 3 to 5 minutes, restorative poses are held for 5 to 10 minutes. I'll be talking much less during this restorative practice, so you may want to turn on some soothing sounds or maybe some meditative music just to kind of fill in that space. So before we get started, a couple things that you are going to need. You might want to grab a few pillows. If you're using bed pillows and they're softer than the bolsters, you're probably going to grab maybe 3, even 4 pillows. If you've got blocks, take them. I'm going to show you options without using blocks if you do not have them. A couple different blankets here. I've got 2 at my mat, but feel free to bring as many as you'd like to make yourself a little bit more comfortable during today's practice. Now, so first we're going to take one of your blankets and we're going to roll it up into a little tight roll here. And we are going to begin in a thoracic spine extension here. So you're going to take your blanket, place it horizontally at your mat, and you want to start to lower your upper back upon it. Now, as you coil the shoulder blades down and around your rolled up blanket, your head is going to touch the floor. If your head does not touch the floor, if this feels a little too intense, grab for that second blanket and place it underneath your head. You want that blanket roll to be beneath your underarms so that it's supportive of the upper back, and your chest has a slight little lift here. Now your arms should just be able to come out to the side, your shoulder blades and upper arm bones heavy onto the mat. And then if you like, you could keep your knees bent here, or you could begin to extend your feet to the bottom corners of the mat if that feels okay. And then just begin to close your eyes. Release your tongue from the roof of the mouth, allowing the face and the jaw to be soft. Releasing any and all tension in the face, and the neck, and in the shoulders. Allow your body to melt and become heavier upon that blanket roll at your upper back. Seeing if you can allow those shoulders to meet the earth. The backs of the arms, elbows, and forearms to be heavy onto your mat. And with this blanket roll at your upper back, send a deep inhale into your chest, pressing into your blanket roll. And then exhale, release and empty. Let's take 2 more together. Inhale as you fill. Exhale, release. 1 more together. Inhale, fill. And exhale, let it go. Allow your breath to return back to its natural rhythm. Allow for that expansion of the chest to occur as your breath moves down all the way into your belly space. Ensuring the back of the head is firmly rooted to your mat. The body feels supported. We're going to spend a few rounds of breath here, a few moments in this shape, this restorative and supportive heart opener, this passive back bend.
this deep breath. Notice if you're holding any tension into your glutes, and see if you can soften and release anything you're holding onto. Do the same through the hips, through the thighs, the legs, and all the way into your toes. Visualize your breath moving beyond your belly and into your hips, shoulders, thighs and arms, hands, feet, fingertips and toes. Till the body is completely relaxed, completely soft. Using this moment of surrender as an opportunity to close down your mind from any external distractions, thoughts, maybe even expectations. Those expectations can be things that you've placed upon yourself or others have placed upon you. Leave them off of your mat for these next 60 minutes so that you can focus entirely on yourself. Keep following in your mind's eye that breath as it moves into the body, pressing your upper back into your blanket roll. And exhale as you create softness and release. As we move through practice today, it is going to be inevitable that thoughts begin to creep into your practice. And if and when that happens, not assigning any meaning or judgment to that experience, but just begin to acknowledge what it is, and then send it away. Watch as it passes as quickly as it comes. Watch as you release. Taking about 5 more big, deep in and out breaths. with very little effort or energy. Begin to bend one knee and then the other so that your feet are re-supported down to your mat or to the earth beneath you. Carefully, you're going to roll off to one side just so that you can push that blanket roll out from underneath the upper body, scooting it away, and then you're going to come onto your back. And we're going to take that blanket roll with your bent knees and soles of the feet on the ground, and we're just going to move it here. So pressing into your feet just enough to lift your hips. So take that little blanket roll underneath your hips and your glute, and then start to lower your pelvis down, finding the support of the low body. Now the top of this blanket roll is just going to touch the base of your spine, that tailbone. And then just allow your glutes to be soft here and your thighs. If you like, you could drape your wrists over and on top of the blanket roll as well and just allow your fingers to rest. If you want a little bit more, you could send your arms out to the side, palms up, rotating the shoulders back down into the mat. Staying here in this supported bridge for just a moment. Allow that space in your upper back that was lifted to press firmly into the earth. Allow your tailbone that was once heavy to feel lifted. Feeling an ever so slight traction into your low spine, length in your vertebrae, support of your pelvis. And if you'd like to go a little bit further, now would be a great time to extend your feet to the bottom corners of the mat, finding straight legs, creating space into the entire front side of the body. Allow your legs to be soft and your toes to splay out to the side. Again, bringing focus to those hot spots of the body that may be clenching onto tension. Notice if your belly is soft. Your hips and your thighs are malleable. Your eyes still closed. Your face and your jaw stay soft. If you invited your legs forward and it feels a little too intense for your low back and you're unable to relax, then just rebend your knees once again, keeping the soles of the feet to the ground for a little bit more support. We hold a lot of emotional tension and frustration into our hips. So if you start to feel a rush of emotional energy, just begin to tell yourself a quick mantra, maybe repeating that you are safe. And allow your body to release any tension, frustration. And you can tell yourself this mantra as much as you need to throughout practice. My personal favorite is I am grateful for. You can begin to tell yourself the various things that you're grateful for throughout practice. If the stillness creates anxiety in the mind, or if the stillness begins to generate an emotional response, you can take it back to that mantra. I am grateful for sunshine. I am grateful for peace. Continuing the mantra as needed. Filling in the end of your mantra with whatever allows your heart to be open. We stay here for 5 more rounds of breath. If your forearms and wrists are on top of your blanket roll, we're going to send them off to the side. If your legs remain extended, begin to bend one knee at a time until the soles of the feet reconnect with the earth beneath you. Take a moment here with the supported pelvis. Feel as that tailbone reaches up. Then very carefully we press into the feet just enough to slide that blanket roll off to the side. And then we reattach the hips and the glutes to the earth. Once your tailbone hits the mat, just allow your pelvis to relax. Taking a moment here on your back. You're going to drop your knees over to one side, coming into a quick fetal pose. And then you're going to press through your hands and come all the way up. Now we're going to come into a supported twist. It's a twisted child's pose. So you're going to take your knees and you're going to stack them one on top of the other. Now you're going to grab for your bolsters, or maybe you've got a couple blocks that you could also bring into your practice. I'm going to show you what this looks like with one single bolster and one single block, but know that you can stack as much as you need on top. You're going to take the short edge of your pillow or your bolster and place it right up against your left hip and thigh. If you want a little bit more height, you're going to add a block underneath your head to create a little bit of an incline here. Again, you've got the option of maybe adding a couple of blankets to create some more height. And taking your hips right up against the edge of the bolster, you're going to frame your bolster, and then we're just going to lower the torso down and set your left ear down. So this is a very mild twist. So try not to take your right ear down. And then your arms just rest and your head rests. I'm going to scoot mine off to the side so that my mic is not going to get squished here. But you want to keep it right underneath the body. And allow the arms to be soft outside of your pillows, outside of your blankets. There is no weight in the hands or the forearms or elbows. The eyes are closed and there's softness behind them. The upper body is entirely supported. If you'd like a little bit more support between your legs, you can always take that blanket roll and place it in between your knees. Maybe even taking that blanket roll between your ankles as well. And then we just rest the body. Taking a slight little twist. Taking all pressure off of the low back. You want to keep that right hip stacked on top of the left.
Keeping your body still. And then send your breath all the way down to your tailbone and out to the crown of the head. Ever so slight wringing of the tissues around the spine. Feel each exhale as it gives you the opportunity to fold deeper and heavier onto your props. Begin to notice the parts of your body touching the earth. Your bottom hip, bottom leg. Begin to visualize that leg and hip growing roots. Those roots begin to penetrate your mat. Flooring, the foundation, the earth, and watch as your roots expand, growing out, spreading from right to left. So that you can feel that foundation, that connection with Mother Earth.
we stay here for another few more rounds of breath, I want you to notice if you begin to press into your palms or your forearms or elbows. Noticing if those shoulders have started creeping up into your ears. If that's the case, you can widen your arms, lowering shoulders, and fall a little heavier, a little deeper. With little to zero effort. Take your arms back in enough where it allows you to press into your palms, lift your torso away from your props. And all we're going to do here is take it to your second side. So if you have that blanket in between your legs, just go ahead and take it over to the opposite side, just coming up to all fours. Dropping that right hip or opposite hip down to that same little perch that you have. Taking that right hip right up against it. And then same thing, you stack your top hip on top of the right, top knee on top, and then you're going to take maybe that blanket roll and place it between your legs. Once again, if you liked that support, supporting the entire bottom side of the leg. Hands begin to frame your perch, and then carefully you're going to roll down, sending that right ear down on top of your stacked pillows, blankets, or combination thereof. And then this time you allow for that support to the right side of the body. Closing down your eyes. If this feels too intense on your low back, you're going to send your feet toward the back of the room. If you want a little bit more, you can take your knees to be in line with your hips or further towards that left elbow. And then just relax the body. Still the mind. Notice if you're taking any weight into your arms. Feel the release of the low back and the mild curvature of your spine. As we did on that first side, we're going to take the same visual meditation through the opposite side of the body. Imagine your roots sprouting from the sides of your body, touching the earth. Watch as those roots begin to move into the earth beneath you. Allow them to spread, to travel long and wide. was helpful on that first side to walk your hands out a little bit wider, allowing the body to fall a little bit deeper for these last few breaths. Crawl your forearms and hands out, lowering shoulders down and away from your ears to find softness in the tops of the shoulders and in the neck. Releasing any and all tension from the space between your shoulder blades. Find a slight part of the lips. Carefully bring your arms back in if they traveled wide. And begin to lift your body away from your pillows or bolster. And then we're just going to come on to your hips. You're going to leave all of those things as are, your little perch, your stack of blankets, or maybe your stack of pillows. And we're going to come into a restorative Supta Baddha Konasana. Now you're going to take your tailbone right up against that perch. The soles of the feet come together and your knees butterfly wide. Now you may need to take some rolled up blankets or blocks underneath your thighs. If you've got really tight hips, we are going to be here for at least 5 minutes. One method that I really like is taking one of your blankets and rolling it a bit of a long way, and you can take it over your feet. So if you see I'm kind of taking it over the inner edges of the feet, and you're going to grab for the corners of that blanket underneath your calves and your shins and start to take it so that your ankles feel supported and those corners of the blanket are accessible in that space between your leg. Again, you can find a little bit more support by just wedging something underneath the upper thighs. But as you're ready, begin to gently make your descent down, sending your tailbone, your low back, your mid-back, and your head down onto your perch. If you need to, you can take the corners of that blanket and maybe pull the heels in towards your groin a little bit further, really tightening that grasp around the feet and the ankles and the shins, and then allow your arms to fall to the side. The heavier the arms, the more that the shoulder blades can coil down and around the edges of your props. That is going to create a nice big heart opener, finding space in your clavicle, space in the shoulders, heaviness of your arms. And then allow your legs to just fall to the side. You want your hips to be on the earth, the entire length of your vertebrae to be supported by a stack of pillows or blankets. The head slightly above the heart slightly above the hips, so that we create a support system for the upper body. And then just relax. Send the breath all the way down to your hips, into your pelvis, and into your inner thighs. And exhale out the crown of the head.
gentle scan of the body. Notice if you're holding any tension, and if you are, and you're unable to release in your current position, find a position that works for you. If that means you need to extend your feet out in front of you, or you need to engage yourself with more props by taking them underneath your thighs, please do so. This is intended to be restful, to be relaxing, rejuvenating. Carefully take your thumb to your pointer finger, and then your middle finger, your ring finger, and your pinky. You can begin to massage your thumbprints to each fingertip as you find a little bit of movement in your arms. And then eventually you're going to draw your arms in closer towards your hips. If you need to use your hands here, we're going to pull the knees together. And then you can just kind of move that blanket off of the feet enough that you can send your feet hip distance apart, your knees face towards the sky. And take 3 deep rounds of breath here. Carefully begin to come back up. And then we're going to keep our little perch as it is. Turn yourself back around. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold with this support. So you're going to send your feet outside of your little perch here. And you can use your bolster, your blankets. You can stack as many pillows as you like, or couch cushions here, using as many blankets as you need. You're going to go ahead and take your body, sitting up nice and tall. If this is not comfortable for your hips, take an additional pillow or maybe even a blanket horizontally underneath your hips so that you've got a slight elevation. It's going to take that pubic bone back. And then as you inhale, send the crown of the head tall. And as you exhale, you start to fold your body on top of your perch. So here, if you've got really tight hamstrings, you're going to make your stack really, really tall. The other option that you have is, you see I have a folding chair here. You can use that here in lieu of your little perch by taking your chair in front of you. You can maybe take a blanket on it so that it's a little bit more comfortable. And then you can rest your head and your body down. So taking what works for you here. Each inhale, you send the crown of the head forward. And each exhale, you fold a little bit deeper. No weight whatsoever in your arms or your hands as your body is completely supported by props. Never locking out your knees, keeping as much of a bend as you need as your legs go soft. If this is too much for your inner thighs, you could always draw your heels in to be a little bit closer, creating a smaller V. And then fold once again. Remember, the intention here is to relax. So while you may be tempted to go a little bit deeper into this stretch, think less about going deeper and more about the surrender. More about stilling the mind as we still the body, creating that mind-body connection and awareness to draw towards places of peace, of silence. You have one ear down. Go ahead and place the opposite ear down. You manage to have your third eye on your props. You're just going to keep it there, keeping the spine nice and long. Resisting that urge to fidget. We begin to take a few more rounds of breath.
in this shape. And with very minimal effort, start to lift your body off and away from your props until your shoulders become restacked over your hips, sitting up nice and tall. And then very carefully, if you're on something underneath your hips, we're going to go ahead and gently remove it. Taking it off to the side so that you can come down. We're going to come into a supported inversion. I'm going to show you an option with some of these props here. Now you could stack your bolsters, pillows, blankets, or even a combination of blocks to be really as high as you like here. And you're going to take them to the bottom edge of your mat. And this is going to give us the opportunity to drape your calves over the blankets and the props, and just allow your feet to dangle, and then begin to come down onto your back. Now you've got your feet over your hips, your tailbone is heavy on the mat, and you just begin to recline here. If you do not have a really substantial lift underneath your shins and you have a folding chair, you could do the same thing here with a chair. You can take the folding chair toward you. You can place a blanket for a little support. And then draping your legs, your shins and calves on top of the chair, you can begin to lower your body down. Same thing here as we find the supported inversion. Legs and feet are elevated. Tailbone is heavy. Eyes begin to close. And shoulders are nice and soft. If you have your legs too close together, you might be creating tension into the outer edges of your legs. So making sure that your knees and feet are at least hip distance apart, if not wider here, so that your thighs and hips can relax and let go. Bringing gentle recognition to the sensations of the body. Notice the slight blood rush to the upper extremities as your feet and knees are lifted above your hips. Notice the feeling of your feet, your toes,
tailbone and hips heavy towards the earth. Your spine relaxed and your belly soft. Notice if the arms are holding any tension. And while the breath is passive, it remains deep, fulfilling. If you are really enjoying this inversion and wish to stay moving into our final resting pose of Shavasana, know that that option is available to you. However, if you are going to come into a more standard Shavasana, you're going to pull your knees into your chest for a moment. And then we're just going to roll off to the side. And if you'd like, if it's with a little energy, you could come up and kind of move everything off and away from your mat. I personally like to take a bolster horizontally underneath the knees, sometimes taking it even closer towards your glutes for more support. And then maybe you place a blanket behind you, using it as a pillow. And then when you're ready, we're going to fall wide and open into your final resting pose of Shavasana. You can always cover yourself up with a blanket. Maybe you place an eye pillow over your eyes. Giving yourself an opportunity to melt, to absorb the benefits of this practice, to acknowledge and thank your body. to experience Shavasana for a little while longer, you can. Coming out if and when you're ready, you start to guide gentle movement into your fingertips and toes. Maybe your wrists and ankles as you begin to reawaken your physical body. Take some time here. Maybe reach your arms up overhead. Maybe pulling your knees into your chest. Rolling to whichever side feels best for you. You could stay in a fetal position for the remainder of practice, or begin to come up into a seated pose. If you choose to come up into a seated pose, keeping your eyes closed, allow your palms to rest upon your thighs. Allow your shoulders to fall down and away from your ears. And with a lift at the crown of the head, begin to bend your elbows, taking your hands to heart center and your thumbs fall to your sternum space. Taking a moment here of gratitude for taking this time for yourself. This opportunity for me to bring a practice from my space to yours. And as we inhale, send your thumbs to third eye center. We bow together as we say, Namaste.